All right, what's up, folks? It's your man, 100 Days of Summer. In this video, what I want to talk about is how the phrase Black Lives Matter comes from an old propaganda tactic that was started in the 1920s. The guy who created this specific form of propaganda is a man named Edward Bernays. Edward Bernays literally wrote the book Propaganda and was known as the father of the propaganda industry, which he then later rebranded into what we now know as public relations. His uncle was a man named Sigmund Freud. Sigmund Freud was the father of psychoanalysis, and what he learned from his uncle, what Edward Bernays learned from his uncle, was how to manipulate groups into doing things by speaking directly to their irrational emotions, as opposed to trying to get them to do things by facts and reason and logic. Those tactics are actually still used today through group or identity politics. What he was most famous for was getting women to smoke cigarettes in public at a time when there was a male-driven taboo against women smoking cigarettes in public. And the way that he did this was by using a very clever phrase. So I'm gonna show you a clip from a documentary about Edward Bernays where you can see this actually demonstrated and how it played out. And then I'll come back and talk to you more about it after that clip.
Every year, New York held an Easter Day parade to which thousands came. And Bernays decided to stage an event there. He persuaded a group of rich debutantes to hide cigarettes under their clothes. Then they should join the parade, and at a given signal from him, they were to light up the cigarettes dramatically. Bernays then informed the press that he had heard that a group of suffragettes were preparing to protest by lighting up what they called torches of freedom.
He knew this would be an outcry, and he knew that all of the photographers would be there to capture this moment. And so he was ready with a phrase, which was torches of freedom. And so here you have a symbol, women, young women, debutantes, smoking a cigarette in public with a phrase that means anybody who believes in this kind of equality pretty much has to support them in the ensuing debate about this, because torches of freedom. I mean, what's on all American coins? It's liberty. She's holding up the torch, you see? And so all of this is there together. There's emotion, there's memory, there's a rational phrase, even though it's using a lot of emotional elements. It's a phrase that works in a rational sense. All of this is together. And so the next day, this was not just in all of the New York papers, it was across the United States and around the world.
So as you can see in that clip, the phrase torches of freedom was a rational phrase that spoke directly to people's irrational emotions and forced anybody that believed in that level of equality to have to support the movement in any of the debates that will follow that propaganda tactic. If you didn't support the movement, you were seen as a sexist or misogynist or somebody who wanted to oppress women or didn't believe that they deserved the same amount of equality as men. But in all actuality, Edward Bernays was hired by the Lucky Strike Tobacco Company to try to increase their profits by getting more female customers. Similarly, the phrase Black Lives Matter is also a very rational phrase, but it speaks directly to people's irrational emotions and forces anybody that believes Black Lives Matter to have to support the movement, even though when you look at the statistics and the data, you can clearly see that there is no epidemic of police killing black people. But if you present that data, if you speak against the riots, or if you speak against any of the things that the movement is doing, you're seen as a bigot or a racist, or if you're black, you're seen as a sellout or Uncle Tom, right? It's a very, very clever tactic, and it hijacks people's emotional sensors, especially when you place yourself in the box of identifying as a group. It's one of the greatest dangers of groupthink. And the Democrat Party is still using that tactic today to try to control minorities through by identity politics. So I want to end the video here. I think that's enough information. But as always, we can talk about this in the comment section if you have criticisms, critiques, if you don't believe it or if you do believe it, whatever it might be. But I wanted to get that out there so people could see it. The video is way past due. So thank y'all for being patient. I appreciate it. And I appreciate your time and attention on this video as well. All right, I'll see you on the next one. Peace.